That was just my sound check, but I think I'm going to open with that. Hello, my name is Jorb. I love gear. I'm here with my MPC Live 2. I've just updated it to the new firmware 2.11. I actually did it yesterday, and I filmed it, but I didn't do a great job of recording it. And my MPC crashed twice during that. I got really frustrated, and then I didn't say anything insightful. I was just upset with the guy. So I'm going to open with this crashed twice yesterday on the new firmware. I hope it does not crash today. And a third time, right after I finished, it crashed a third time. A Kai that shouldn't happen on a product that's this expensive, this nice, marketed to professionals, especially considering you want people to treat the MPC Key 61 like any other workstation. Can't have software that crashes. And maybe that's not a problem on the Key 61 because it has more RAM or whatever. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say. I wish this didn't crash. Kai, please don't let it crash. Okay, now, I did not get 2.11 early. I haven't bought any of the new instruments. You're going to see me go through everything in the update, and then I'm going to download and walk through one of the new plugin trials. I'm not going to waste all the trials now in case I have a project I want to use them for later, because I'm not going to pay $500 for all of them, and I'll do the demo just to step through my impressions. I'm going to do the electric piano one. I have a Rhodes, I have a Wurlitzer, I have had multiple. I have developed opinions, we'll say, on Rhodes and Wurlitzer sounds. I spent a lot of time talking about the Stage EP plugins. That's a good chunk of this video. So if that is of interest to you, it's in the back half of this. And stay tuned. It's cool. I got a lot of things to bitch about. I imagine this is transferable to the other Stage plugins. I'm not sure about Fabric. Fabric seems a lot more flexible than these. Okay, so I'm just going to step through the update notes that are now. Can you see this? I'm going to step through the update notes that are all the way in the back of the manual. And the first thing they bring up is the MPC Key 61. I'm sure you've seen it. It's an MPC plus a keyboard all in one hardware unit. It's the MPC version of a workstation. And just my thoughts quickly, I want one. Had that been available when I got this, I might have thought about it. It is a touch more expensive, so I would have had to sell a few more things to afford it. But the way I use this, I've always got a keyboard attached to it anyway. So it makes a lot of sense for somebody like me who does a lot of MIDI sequencing of external gear. Okay, and it makes sense if that form factor really, really matters to you, but it's quite easy to plug a MIDI keyboard into any of the other modern MPCs, and for a lot of people, that'll be more or less the same experience. First, if you haven't updated and you want to, go to Menu and then Preferences and then Update. And you can do online, you can download it onto a flash drive and bring it on here if you don't have Wi-Fi or you don't have your MPC connected to Wi-Fi. And switch to update mode, that's when you're plugged into a computer and you update it through the MPC software there, I believe. You can see I'm in 2.11.2, and the first new thing they bring up is the Sounds browser. You get to that through Menu and then here, Sounds. I've already clicked through into some of my stuff. But you pick your program category with a fun graphical interface. Here for drum programs, here's the factory expansions, which only have the one installed. It does show expansions whether they have drum programs in them or not. I think that's annoying. If I want to add one of my own, click on it, scroll through, and I can pick a good one. For example, here it is. These are the drum kits that I had loaded up. I get all my drum samples from the Count because he's the best. This is just a prettier way to use the browse. God. This is just a prettier interface for the browse we already have. It's nice. I like it, but it's not really anything new. But I'll show you what it looks like for synth sounds. Here we've got our plugins. And you can just pick through the instruments. So, I like Odyssey. I want a lead. I want nasty lead. That doesn't sound good. I want complex. You know what I mean? That sounds even worse. And you can just quickly run through a bunch of these presets. Which is cool. I like that. If you click through different presets of the same plugin, it won't load additional ones. But if I go back, Sounds, and back to key groups, and I pull up, how nice, one of Jorb's very carefully sampled. See, I was just using the scroll wheel in another one of these windows, and it's not working here. Does it only work in the plugins one? I will be damned. So it works in instruments, it doesn't work in key groups. That, to me, again, kind of reinforces that this is just like a graphical layer over it. And this, for key groups, they just haven't pointed it somewhere to scroll through. So that kind of sucks. But let's just pick one. It'll load all the samples. Okay, and then I'll pick another one, Confi Choir. But if you come out here, you can see that they're all loaded. So it's nice to be able to sample them like that, but I totally see myself clicking through a bunch of these to find the right sound, forgetting they're loaded, realizing I've used up a bunch of my space. So if these were just previews and it would unload them until you left this screen or there was a commit or something, I think that would have been better. But we still like graphical user interfaces, don't we? Anyway, moving on. Key ranges. I like that being right here. And this lets us define, you guessed it, a range of the keyboard to trigger individual tracks. So if I click onto track 1, learn minimum, learn maximum, and I give it, actually I want to do that here. Click on this one, learn minimum, right here, learn maximum. There's the full range of my keyboard. I don't have anything on track 2, and if I listen to track 1, I tried to do a stylish diagonal angle. It means you can't see my whole keyboard hand. I'm sorry about that, but I'll try and play in such a way that you can see it. But if I move in here to track 2 and I assign this our other pad, I can play that with one hand. And then right now, if I play below that, how about I zoom out for you? If I play below where I defined my key range on track 2, you can't see it. Same thing for track 1. Play up here, but nothing up here. Okay? To get them to both play, I need to get MIDI to both of them. You can do that in a few ways. The way I'm familiar with, I just send MIDI from track 1 to track 2. I don't actually know what these... I call this the sidebar, and this is the sequence edit page. So from here, I go to the sidebar sequence edit and then pick track 2. Okay, you can see the key ranges in here as well. But now, since track 1 is sending to track 2, I can play both those parts on one key split. I didn't have anything planned, and I probably picked them for reverse where they would like to be, but you understand the demonstration. And I show it to you in this way, because now if I go to track 2, MIDI's making it here, but not back to track 1. So you need to be careful about the way you set those things up, especially if you're not playing just from this mode where you can hit shift and select everything. And this is another point where I can demonstrate that's just a different interface for selecting stuff we already have. That the key ranges are actually just part of these new settings, which are track MIDI perform settings that include filtering options. So filtering options for notes, only certain notes will trigger. Filtering options for velocities. So if I have an overlapping key range, only a certain velocity will trigger. Those are great features. I really, really like that. And then a bunch of MIDI CC filters. So if I'm worried about sending a program change to a specific track and I don't want that, I can turn that off. I think that's great. I wish this was all MIDI CCs, and I get that that's like a big-ass interface. It would be convenient. I know I have things that use non-traditional CCs, and I may or may not want to filter those in and out. There are other ways for me to achieve that, but being able to do that here in the MPC would be nice. So that's all actually just MIDI filtering. The key ranges, the velocity ranges, and things like that. But since key range is so valuable and sort of a fun marketable thing for the Key 61, they include it right here with its own big-ass interface. Okay, I like that. Maybe you've noticed this whole time, there's a little sidebar here. So there's my first answer to I wish I could get back to sounds, and that exists all over. Plus, if I, for example, say, I'm not often using list edit, and maybe I want to get to sounds more often, I can swap that here. And so now from any screen, if I hold menu, and that can be one of my hotkeys now. Okay, that also changes what's on my grid here on the left. So for the sake of my brain and not forgetting where everything's at, I'm going to move that sucker back. But if we go back to the sounds browser, we also have Setlists. And I loaded 2 already, but I'll show you what it's like to load a new one. You choose a project. And when you choose a project, and I'll just pick one of the ones I had in here. And so, again, this is just a slicker graphical interface to get to something people would need. I think this is actually the really exciting one. To get to programs is a good one, because you save those in different places and you need them at different times. and just being able to quickly step through the 2, 3, 4 you need in a single set, I think that is a good addition. My main camera stopped, so I don't know when it did, but you'll still see me zoom in on this fucking screen. We're here in Activate Plugins and Preferences. I think this has potential to be exciting. The idea that maybe we'll get third-party plugin developers, can go through some process to be certified to work on standalone or whatever is really, really cool. And the idea of having more options is always good, because I think plugin instruments is one of the really big, exciting parts of the MPC. But I don't have anything to show you, and I wouldn't have anything to show you if I did log in. The next thing is 2 new insert effects. So I'm going to go to Empty Project. I can get right to sounds from here. I want to get out of drum programs into key groups, user expansions. I find myself playing my own patches all the time because they're already on here, and I think I did a nice job, and it's all sounds I like. So this is a JX3P preset I made, and I'm going to use it to demonstrate the new insert effects. So the new insert effects are both categorized under harmonic. There is Air Amp Sim. If you aren't familiar with an amp simulator, guess what? It simulates the sound of running through an amplifier. This might not be the best sound for an example, so I'm going to pull up, we'll do electric, which I quite like. The Rhodes sample. Here it is. I'm going to go back to Amp Sim. Should hear a bit more of a difference on something like this. So we're simulating the sound of an amplifier, which will distort, and a cabinet model, which will provide some sort of an EQ curve. So just a way to make your plugins, I think, a great addition. I think a way to make plugins feel more unique and a very common professional option. We're getting these things to happen, especially that. Let these things sound a little less direct. Cool. Amp Sim is cool. Not something I expected. Moving quickly. Air Flavor. This is something I kind of wanted them to do. So the 2.10 plugins, a lot of them had this interface for like a speaker simulation, kind of like just like I talked about with the Amp Sim, but they were locked in with those plugins, and this is them brought out separately. So Kai, I'm glad you did that. But it's sort of a lo-fi thing in a lot of them. That really does actually sounds like I'm driving the shit out of some old pair of headphones. I'm actually going to change off of the Amp Sim and on to Flavor on the synth patch. Back in Edit. Neutral. So we can just hear on their own all this vinyl simulation on the right. Pretty interesting distortion. Let's bring up the noise. Flutter and mono-fi that equally blends your left and right. Does that make sense? It makes it not monophonic, monaural. So you don't hear any difference in your left and right. So if you want to think of it like an amp sim, so to translate with the amp sim we saw earlier, you have these all the time: distortion, vinyl noise, flutter, and a monoification. Plus, we have emulation of different speaker types. And these are a little more, they're not all amps, even though this sounds like the Kmart Wave album. Great, and I didn't talk about timbre depth, but timbre depth is the depth of this sort of speaker simulation. I like that. It's very tinny. Mobile phone. Yeah, and I could scroll through these and play them all for you. That's not the point of this. I think it's really, really cool. And to have like a really slick, easy way to get stuff kind of lo-fi, this is great. Earbuds Old is so far my favorite. That sounds like different noise. It is different noise. Or the noise is at least filtered with the timbre here. I suppose that makes sense, doesn't it? So this is actually, in a lot of ways, that is my favorite new addition. Let me double check my camera here. There are changes to the granulator. I have to admit, I didn't use it much previously. I'm a little afraid of granular. It just isn't something I've investigated yet. So reverse, shape, and skew are all the new things. Interesting, and reverse, of course, will reverse your buffer. There's no need for me to get into the dirty details of granular, especially here. But cool nonetheless. Maybe I'll do a full bit on granular at some point. Today's not that time, though. Okay. There's a built-in tuner, which I don't really understand. Can I change it to resample? Yes, I can. It's confused by the lo-fi. I think that's... I don't really know why we needed a tuner. It makes me think, plus the amp sim, they want people to be plugging guitars into these. I don't know if a lot of people are, but it's nice to know that there's some support for it. Great, a few small things that are related to drum programs. So I'm going to find and load up a drum program. Okay, I got a drum program set up here. I'm sure you've seen other people talk about this, probability and ratcheting. I'm just recording with note repeat, a bunch of hi-hats. There we go. And if I want to include a ratchet, that's now here in our automation lanes. Oops, I need to go to the pencil. Make it fucking annoying. Very cool. Can be included in our step sequences. So can probability. I'm going to stick C again. I don't want that to control all of them. Why is it doing that? Huh. Am I hitting some additional... my touchscreen dirty? You know what I mean? Because I know you can do this. So weird. Okay, I guess I'm learning right now that if you double select, you can drag everything up. I'm confused by the way this works, I'm going to be honest with you. So if I click within it, I can drag them all up. What if I just want to drag an individual one? I just need to draw from above it. Okay. That's fine, I guess. The pencil doesn't work the way I thought it did. Anyway, probability. So if I put it about in the middle, all these have a 50% chance of hitting. And if I don't trust myself, plug it in on the grid, you can, of course, that's right, you can plug it in on ye old step sequencer as well and get it right where you want it. Pretty cool. Pad Perform can now work in tandem with 16 levels, which is cool. I still have this running through the granulator, which I'm going to turn off. And then if I hit 16 levels, On the keyboard, still the same. We can use, well, probability is a funny one to start with. But on that one note, or that one pad, we can perform with, 16 levels of velocity. Or the filter. Or slower attack. Anything can work with these melodic ones as well. Ratchet and probability are interesting. So you can live perform in something that has a 100% chance of hitting, or something that has, whatever this is, a 40% chance of hitting. That is pretty cool. Same thing with Ratchets. I'm assuming this is 1. And that's a full number. That's cool for drum programs. I'm not going to go back and show you. But you understand. Turning it off of active means we can't use pad perform. We can just pick a new one. And your pad perform options seem to persist when you get out, which I like. Great. You can change the MIDI note maps for drum programs. If you use classic MPC, it isn't actually the bottom octave, but it's nice to know the compatibility's there. Chromatic C1 or chromatic C2. So you can start your drum programs at that point for, like a MIDI input. I like that a lot. If that's important to you, you know what you're doing. Track MIDI perform settings, which I showed you the filters. MIDI control mode changes, which I don't normally use MIDI control mode, but we do have a MIDI monitor. I like MIDI monitors. It just tells you what MIDI information is coming in. This is actually one of the things I use. Yeah, look at that. It's actually one of the things I use on my MPC 1000 actually a lot. If you're trying to troubleshoot MIDI, you can say what's coming in, where's it coming in from, what is that information. That's super useful if you're trying to troubleshoot any issues. The way I got there, because I went kind of fast, menu, MIDI control, and there's an I/O up there in our top bar. There you are. Good feature. Alrighty, that's kind of all the stuff in the update notes. I think the changes to granulator are nice. I wasn't using it. I might, because I'm getting into granular. I don't know if you can see it in frame at all. There's a microcosm back there. So I've been learning my fair share of granular type things. I think Air Flavor is an interface that makes sense for a lot of people and gives us cool options. I will be using that. Okay, I'm going to try and do one of the trials for the new plugin instruments and show you how those work. I'm only going to do one right now. If I can do them individually, I'll get the trial for the Rhodes one. So give me a second to get that queued up. Okay, here we are. We can start trials for any of these fancy new things. Look, I've already activated the 2.10 synths. And all these, we can just right here, click Start Trial. I'm going to try the Stage ePiano one. So if I just hit Starting Trial, can I download now? Oops. Trial 10 days left. No drive selected. Where do I pick a drive? Here. Change. MPC SSD. Download. Is this going to be fucking huge? That's my little ass progress bar. All right. I'm probably going to cut. It is 141. And when I come back, it will be... It's only 143. That wasn't very much. Okay. I went upstairs to get a granola bar. When I came back, and we were already good. Okay. Let me click down into plugins. What am I doing? Why don't I use the sounds browser, huh? Look at that. Stage EP. Studio electric piano. Oh my god. I about shit my pants. It was running through Air Flavor. Oh. Damn it. I didn't want to like this so much. It sounds really good. Does it have a good interface? Whoops. Yes, it does. Looks like Keyscape. Damn it. Studio EP. That's something... Key offs. Yeah. You hear right when I release the keys. There's a little bit of sound. A real Rhodes will do that, and I like that that's included here. I wonder how many velocity layers there are. Let me focus. I'm grabbing my sustain pedal. I am a sucker for good Rhodes sounds. depth is on the mod wheel by default. Love that. Style. I wonder if that's a single sample per key. And this is really well filtered for each, you know what I mean? Between soft and hard. I would have liked a phaser, because that's who I am. I like that we have amp and cab sim. I like that we can turn them on and off separately. Model Wurlitzer. This is something that the existing electric plugin I think was actually quite good. But the Wurlitzer model wasn't great. Okay, but now I think if these are velocity layers, there aren't that many because the style between soft and hard. That should be able to growl more. Those are both good sounds, and I'm saying all these things. I have a real... Sorry, before I get too much further, I have a Wurlitzer 200. I have a Mark II Rhodes. I've had a few more of each. I know what they feel like. I know what they sound like. I wish that the full dynamic range between these two styles was available on the Wurlitzer. Right? Because even if I play this softly, it sounds woolly. It sounds like I'm cranking it. Tremolo off. Actually, mono tremolo. Like you'd get on a Wurlitzer, huh? I think soft sounds great. I think hard sounds great. But I wish those were velocity layers within one model. We can hear them both. It's a strange choice. Honor, Pianet T. More key sound. I'm not familiar with the Pianet. I don't think they have this much sustain, but I don't know. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Those are the three models. Oh, Rhodes hot. That is the same problem as the... Oh, sorry. There's style within there. Hard and soft. Pardon me. I'm confused now as to what we're getting. The visual says it's just the difference between a Mark I and a Mark II Rhodes. Which is interesting. I wouldn't characterize a Mark II necessarily as being more hot than a Mark I. Just going based on their little visuals here. I would characterize it as brighter, and I don't necessarily hear that here. Yeah. Same comment. I would like the full dynamic range to be available on both of these. This feels like a cool graphical user interface for a key group. Maybe a key group with this additional layer of the key sounds, and we all know you can't do simultaneous layers within the existing key group structure. I really wish we could. Dynamics. That's velocity sensitivity. I'm going to go back to my favorite, which has been soft Rhodes 1. Age. That is an inconsistency in pitch that doesn't make sense for a Rhodes. I don't think individual notes would warble like that, especially inconsistency. That is totally a nitpick, and what Age is doing is some detuning, and that's not a bad thing at all. Sample start, so it's telling me it is samples. Should have read that earlier. Cool, we have control of that. Kind of an experimental way to get at it. Format. You can just think of it as advanced filtering. Cool option to have. Mechanics. Mic. What? Ah, like the key offs? Okay. So is this just the volume of the key offs? It is. It's becoming more and more clear to me that this is exactly like the options you have for the Mellotron plugin. I'll pull it up in a second just to compare, but mechanics. So if I turn the volume down to the key offs and the model, you can hear key sounds. Those sounds like they're actually from a Rhodes. Is the one from the Wurlitzer actually from a Wurlitzer? Yes, they are. I like that. And that's actually from a Pianet. Well done. Mechanics of an FM synth. So that's just another... You can just mix in an FME piano. That's kind of a workstation thing, so I like that it's mixed in there. But I would like individual volumes for it. Ah, I found it here. On and off for the mechanics. Oh, and full control of the FM. I think the controls are a little confusing. Oh, I didn't even realize. So we have a stage Rhodes Mark II, suitcase Rhodes. I'm actually going to click off and back on. The implication here is this is a suitcase Rhodes that includes the amplifier, and the other two are just stage Rhodes. This sounds like a Mark II to me, and the other two sound like a Mark I. At first glance, without digging any deeper, not taking any consideration existing EQs. That's my interpretation. And this seems to have pretty good dynamic range. Now I'm even inclined to put two different plugins that are on the same key range, and the velocity range splits in the middle. Although you can't do a gradient. Yep, same complaint. I wish the soft and hard were audible within the same range, but these are all good sounds. The biggest difference between the hard and soft styles were on the Wurlitzer for sure. About the same velocities. Alrighty, built-in chorus and tremolo, built-in amp and a cab. Another compressor and an EQ, delay and a reverb. Those all being built in is nice. You don't have to give up any of your effect slots because this is a lot of stuff they let you have control over. But based on this first page, it's kind of clear that this is just a kind of a different skin maybe of, and you know what? Why don't I put my money where my mouth is and load the Mellotron here. Just pick whatever. And I need to get to... Yeah, format, age, sample start. We have key on and off. Slightly different, but it seems to be a lot of those same parameters. So whatever they're using, whatever sample player they worked out for this, makes sense that they would reuse it. I really shouldn't complain about that. But, it makes it feel a little less special. How about that? They're great sounds, but it's not really a new plugin, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's functionality we've had already. They just put a different chunk of samples on in there, didn't they? It might just be filtering in a single sample. I'm really, really trying to tell if it's velocity layers. I might look that up later if I can, and I'll just put it on screen. If it's not velocity layers, it sounds really good. If it is velocity layers, they've done a nice job of blending them. I'm a little confused as to the naming. In my very not expert experience, this sounds more like a Mark I than this, which is a Mark I with a preamp. Listen to the top end difference between this and this. I think this, in my totally not expert opinion, I hear the characteristics of a Mark II in that, and in Rhodes Hot and Rhodes, I hear a Mark I. That is totally a guess, and that's based on tropes and not, really anything empirical. You could make a Rhodes Mark I sound like a Rhodes Mark II with just EQ. I'm not telling you that's not what's happening. In my experience, and also the public perception of what a Mark II sounds like the suitcase model. And Mark I's sound like Hot and Rhodes. Cool. I like that Pianet is in there. I think the Wurlitzer sounds good on all of them. I wish that the velocity range was a little more comprehensive, because this makes me think this is just not even an advanced version of the key group engine. This is just the key group engine plus options for individual layers plus some built-in effects. So they're great sounds. And they're good controls, and it's a nice graphical user interface. But, functionally, it's not anything that new and exciting. So I'm glad they're here. I'm glad they're available. I wish they weren't so expensive. I'm totally motivated now to sample my own Rhodes for a key group. Because I want to be able to do that. Okay, that's all I'm going to talk about. Overall, I like the new plugins, and some of the workflow improvements are appreciated, but it's not anything new. It seems like kind of fresh paint on stuff we've already got for all the other stuff. Akai, this is a good update, and it makes sense that it was the one that was paired with the keys. Keep it moving. Send me a keys if you want. I'll demo it. Promise. Okay, my name is Jorb. I love gear that includes the MPCs. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.